The Associated Press is back in the White House press briefing room, and it took them no time at all to absolutely destroy Donald Trump's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt.
If we could just step back for a second. When President Trump last addressed the BRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs.
Not true.
And I'm curious
He's not doing
why
that.
he's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that, again, have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people, and the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
That's
They
it.
don't get charged on foreign companies, they get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you're trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press.
Leavitt there saying, "How dare you insult me and test me on my economic knowledge," when it's literally the purpose of the press corps to test the White House press secretary on the actions of the administration, especially when it's tanking the stock market, especially when you're a president who for years has touted any economic gains as a consequence of maybe him being reelected, and any economic drops as a consequence of President Biden's actions. But oh no, now that there's a huge drop in the stock market under Donald Trump, it's still President Biden's fault. I mean, how ridiculous is Karoline Leavitt? She also had another ridiculous interaction with another reporter on Canadian tariffs.
Can we talk about Canada? What is the status of President Trump having a conversation with Mark Carney? We have seen the president use the term governor to refer to Justin Trudeau. Will that moniker also go to Mr. Carney going forward? And is the decision to increase the tariffs, is that based on a specific economic metric that he looked at? Is it impulse? How would you describe his reaction to candidates?
The president has not yet spoken to Mr. Carney, not since I checked, which was just moments ago. But certainly his phone is always open to leaders who wish to speak with him. As for the tariffs, the president made his position on this quite clear with the statement that he put out. And it was a retaliatory statement due to the escalation of rhetoric that we've seen out of Ontario, Canada. The president saw the premier, Doug Ford, make an egregious and insulting comment threatening to shut down electricity for the American people, for hardworking American families. He made that threat. The president saw that and has an obligation and a responsibility to respond accordingly and represent the interests of the American people. So he has made the decision to add a 25% tariff. So now steel and aluminum tariffs will come into effect tomorrow at the rate of 50%. And our steel and aluminum industries have actually applauded these tariffs because, again, they know it's going to grow their industry here. It's going to allow them to export more steel that is made right here in the United States with American workers.
Egregious and insulting are your words here, but that's what many Canadian leaders have said about the actions President Trump has taken toward Canada. And what do you think the timeline is for speaking to Mr. Carney? Because normally a sitting president speaks to a close ally very quickly when there's new leadership.
Well, the president is, again, responding to the fact that Canada has been ripping off the United States of America and hardworking Americans for decades. If you look at the rates of tariffs across the board that Canadians have been imposing on the American people and our workers here, it is egregious. In fact, I have a handy-dandy chart here that shows not just Canada, but the rate of tariffs across the board. If you look at Canada, since you brought it up, American cheese and butter, nearly 300% tariff. You look at India, 150% tariff on American alcohol. You think that's helping Kentucky bourbon be exported into India? I don't think so. 100% tariff on agricultural products from India. Look at Japan tariffing rice 700%. President Trump believes in reciprocity, and it is about dang time that we have a president who actually looks out for the interests of American businesses and workers. And all he's asking for at the end of the day are fair and balanced trade practices, and unfortunately, Canada has not been treating us very fairly at all over the past several decades.
First off, we don't have huge tariffs on Indian alcohol because there's no demand for Indian alcohol in the United States. But Karoline Leavitt, she wants to use that as some gotcha moment during the press briefing. I said it was ridiculous, and sure enough, it was. Also, what a baby Donald Trump is. He hasn't even called the new Canadian Prime Minister to congratulate him on becoming Prime Minister after Trudeau leaves office. Our closest ally, our neighbor to the north, and he can't even bother to even have a minute-long phone call just to congratulate him. No, she says Donald Trump is here if they want to contact him. What a baby. And then of course, like I've mentioned in my previous videos, Donald Trump and Karoline Leavitt used the tactic of accusation in the mirror that was really made popular by Goebbels, the Nazi, to accuse the other side of what you're doing. And of course, Canadians called Donald Trump's tariffs and his actions and his rhetoric towards Canada egregious and insulting. And so what does Karoline Leavitt do? She calls Canadians and their government's actions egregious and insulting because A, they're lazy, and B, they're trying to use this tactic of accusation in the mirror, which essentially muddies the water for the public and public discourse. But let me know what your thoughts are, what your reflections are on Karoline Leavitt's disastrous interaction here with the AP journalist who is back now in the White House press corps and who is making it clear that he's not going to allow for Leavitt and Trump's propaganda to just reign supreme. Share your thoughts, your reflections in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe to Reflect Politics so that you get my future videos delivered straight to you. My name is Brendan Plank. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.